Welcome! This is the week 7 homework solution for Math 8. We have the Thursday, September 20th problem here. All these problems ask us to solve the equation, right, which means to get the variable alone. Alright, so we have number 3 right here. 15 minus 2x equals to 3x. Notice that the first step is always to write the equation. I see that the x is on both the right hand side and the left hand side. Alright, what you want to do is always move the lowest value, 3x and a minus 2x. Okay, so I'm going to move the negative 2x here. Alright, okay. So, how do I get rid of a negative 2x? I'm going to add 2x. I do that to both sides, the left hand side and the right hand side. In that process, negative 2x plus 2x becomes 0, my right hand side. 3x plus 2x equals 5x. Okay, that 0 is created because I did that inverse. I can simplify to 15 over 5x and divide by 5 to both sides. Gets me 3 equals to 1x. The 1 comes from the 5 over 5. Simply that becomes x equals to 3. We have 4 now. 26 minus 4s equals to 9s. Again, we want to move the smallest variable. In our case, it is the minus 4s. How do I get rid of a minus 4s? You're going to add 4s. Do that to both sides of the equation. What do I have left over on the left-hand side? You have 26. The minus 4s plus 4s becomes 0. 9s plus 4s becomes 13s. Simplify that to just 26 equal to 13s because of that 0. Okay, divide the 13 on both sides. Okay, 13 over 13 becomes 1. 26 divide by 13 becomes 2. So we can say s is equal to 2 after I simplify. Number 5, 5p minus 9 equals to 2p plus 12. Okay. What is the smallest variable here? 2p. So I'm going to subtract 2p to both sides. Once I subtract 2p to both sides, I realize the left-hand side. 5p minus 2p gets me 3p. On my right-hand side, 2p minus 2p becomes 0. Right? Simplify because I don't care about that 0. Becomes 3p minus 9 equals to 12. Plus 9 to both sides. Okay? The reason I add 9 to both sides is I'm trying to get rid of the negative 9. Okay. In that process, I get 3p plus 0 equals to 21. How do I get 21? 12 plus 9 equals to 21. Notice how I'm adding 9 to both sides. Okay, simplify this. It just becomes 3p equals to 21 because no one writes that plus 0 anymore. Alright, after this, we divide by 3 to both sides. The reason why we divide 3 to both sides is because we are trying to get the variable alone. 3 over 3 just becomes 1. So that becomes 1p equals to 7. Simplify that, just is p equals to 7. Alright, we have number 6 now on the board. 8g plus 10 equals to 35 plus 3g. Subtract 3g to both sides because that is the smallest variable. Okay. Next, what we have is 5g on the left-hand side. 8g minus 9g becomes 5g. 10 brings down the 10. 35 brings down the 35. Plus 3g minus 3g. That becomes your 0. Alright, so in this case, you just simplify this. We don't write the plus 0. Subtract 10 to both sides. Okay. 5g comes straight down. 10 subtract 10 is 0. 35 subtract 10 is 25. Right? We don't care about that 0 here. So, here you could divide by 5 to both sides. In that process of dividing 5 to both sides, 5 over 5 just becomes 1. That's how you get your 1g. 25 divided by 5 is your 5. Let's look at 7 now. 5t plus 16 is equal to 6 minus 5t. Again, always write your equation as the first step. Next, you always want to move the smallest variable. In our case, the subtract 5t is your smallest variable. How do I get rid of a minus 5t? Of course, you're going to add 5t. Make sure you do that to both sides, the right-hand side of the equal sign and the left-hand side of the equal sign. 5t plus 5t, that gets you 10t. Nothing happens to the 16, so bring that down. Nothing happens to the 6, so bring it down. Minus 5t plus 5t, that becomes 0. We don't ever write the plus 0. That's what it looks like after you simplify. Subtract 16 to both sides. The reason why you subtract 16 to both sides is because you're trying to get the variable alone. This is the outwardmost thing. In that process, you get 10t plus 0 is equal to negative 10. How do I get that 0? The 0 comes from the 16. Minus 16 gets you 0. 6 minus 16 gets you negative 10. In that process, you get 10t equals to negative 10. Divide 10 to both sides. You get 1t is equal to negative 1. Let's do number 9 here. 7 plus 3x minus 12x equals to 3x plus 1. Here they ask you to write down the equation as always the first step. Next, you want to combine the like terms. 3x minus 12x is 9x. Okay, nothing happens to the x, so bring that down. Nothing happens to the 3x, nothing happens to the 1, so just bring it straight down. Again, you want to move the smallest variable, in our case, negative 9 and negative 9x and 3x. Those are both, the negative 9x is the smallest variable. So in this case, you're going to add 9 to both sides. In that process, you get 7 on the left. You also get a 0 because negative 9x plus 9x becomes 0. On my right hand side, 9x plus 3x becomes 12x because 9 plus 3 is 12. That's how you get your 12x. Nothing happens to the 1, so you also bring the 1 down as well. Now you simplify. Okay? Right? So we don't ever write that 0, so you can just simplify, bring that down. Here you subtract 1 to both sides. In that process, 7 subtract 1 is 6. Plus 1 minus 1 just becomes 0. Okay? You get 6 is equal to 12x. Notice I keep everything on the left hand side. I keep everything on the right hand side. Now I divide 12 to both sides because 12 is what is attached to x. Then I divide by 12 to both sides. 6 over 12 is 1/2 equals to x. We have 10 here. Now 10, we always write the equation as the first step. Now here I combine the like terms. W plus 2w becomes 3w. W plus 2w becomes 3w. Now you want to subtract 3w to both sides because it is the smallest variable. On the left hand side, I have 2 plus 0 equals to 6 plus 2w. In that process, I can get rid of the 0 because it's nothing. Subtract 6 to both sides because I am working with the most outward thing. In that process of subtracting 6 to both sides, I have a negative 8 on my left hand side. I have a 0 plus 2w on my right hand side. How do I get the negative 8? Negative 2 plus negative 6 is negative 8. Not 4, not positive 8. A negative number plus a negative number becomes a larger negative. Okay? Negative 8 is equal to 0 plus 2w. No one writes that 0, so it just looks like negative 8 equals to 2w. The w has a 2 attached via multiplication, so you're going to divide by 2 to both sides. In that process, you get negative 4 is equal to 1w. How do I get that 1? 2 over 2 is equal to 1. Negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. A negative divided by a positive is still negative. Right? Simplify this to negative 4 equals to w. We have 11 now. Okay, 10 parentheses 5g plus 5, close the parentheses, equal to 2 parentheses 9 plus g plus 9. You want to distribute, right? So notice how I'm distributing the 10 to each term. So 10 times 5g, that's the first one. 10 times 5, that's the second one. Likewise, I do that to the right hand side as well. 9 times g. And 2 times 9. That's what I do after I distribute. Now I simplify. 10 times 5g is 50g. 10 times 5 is 50. 2 times 9 is 2 times g is 2g. 2 times 9 is 18. Now it looks like a problem from before. Subtract 2g to both sides because that is the smallest variable. I get 4g on the left hand side plus 50 equals to 0 plus 18. Simplifies to 48g plus 50 equals to 18. Subtract 50 to both sides. In that process, you get 4g plus 0 equals to negative 32. Right? No one writes that 0, so you can just write 48g is equal to 32. Divide by 48 to both sides. You can now simplify to 1g is equal to negative 2/3. A lot of steps here. A lot of steps here. Okay? Right? So try not to make mistakes, but again, right? It's always you're removing one piece at a time. Okay. Alright, let's see. We have 12 now. 12. Again, here's the equation. You distribute, simplify, right? Work with the smallest variable. So in this case, I add 9t to both sides. Simplify, add 60 to both sides. Simplify, get that left. 13 is t is attached via 13 multiplied, so you're going to divide by 13. Okay, and that's how it looks like as your final answer. Will you get anything as hard as this? No. Okay, you're never going to get anything as hard as 12, but I would just like to show it to you. Okay. Alright, same thing here for 15. Here's the solution for 15 if you would like to see it. Again, I'm not going to ask you anything as hard. Okay, write the equation, distribute, simplify, combine the like terms, right? Multiple steps here. This would be what you would see in high school, but not in 8th grade. But I would just like to show it to you as well. If you would like to try it, go ahead. Okay? Right, 16. Same thing for 16. I'm just going to show 16 on the board. Right. Again, write the equation, distribute, combine like terms, start moving down the variables and getting rid of each number one by one. Again, a little bit this is a algebra, a very long algebra problem. Are you ever going to get something this hard? No. Right? Are you ever going to see anything this hard in your algebra class next year? No. Right? I just want you to see that, again, there's nothing different about it. You're applying the same procedure and carrying the value straight down. Okay? So there you go. Those are all the homework solutions.